In 2016, the bass boat world was changed forever. Hi there, welcome to the Bass Fishing Life. I'm your host, Steve Rogers. Hey, before we get into the video, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and punch the notification bell. Thank you so much. Well, in 2016, an event happened on the Mississippi River that changed the bass boat industry, some might say the bass fishing industry, absolutely forever. Ott Defoe won a Bassmaster Elite Series just below the spillway up there on the Mississippi River as it dumped in from pools 7 to 8, and he was using a Minn Kota AllTracks to hold himself in position. He set the spot lock, the GPS anchor on that trolling motor, and the boat held where he needed it to be, and he could focus on fishing in that current as it was coming over the spillway. That singular event just went crazy, went viral. Everybody in the bass fishing world was talking about it. And this brand new trolling motor, the Minn Kota AllTracks, changed everything. Well, in 2018, out of the 110 Elite Series pros, over 90 of them were using the AllTracks. The other trolling motor companies, the big one at the time, MotorGuide, was the main competition. They had to do something. Well, in 2019 at ICAST, MotorGuide, Lowrance, and Garmin all introduced trolling motors that had GPS anchor lock on them, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. The trolling motor market just suddenly got flooded summer last year with 4 different models that do very similar things. So I want to make sure today to go over each of these in detail, what they have, what are the features on them. So if you're in the market, or if you just want to decipher the differences between these 4 motors, you'll be more educated after the end of this particular video. So let's go ahead and jump right into the first one, the Minn Kota AllTracks, the one that Ott Defoe used to really make bass fishing history. The big deal with the AllTracks is it was the first trolling motor that had GPS anchor, or what Minn Kota calls spot lock. It's on the pedal. You can sit there and punch it with your foot when you're in a spot that you want to be, and it will hold you right there. So it was the first one to have that. Now, before that, there were other trolling motors on the market that had GPS systems involved with them, where they could run shorelines and do this different type of stuff. But a lot of those particular trolling motors with the electric motor drive up in the head had a pedal that also was electric, and it was not cable driven. If you're a walleye angler or any type of angler, you know, maybe panfish angler, crappie, or something that likes to be out more in one particular place, or you're trolling up and down the lake, rivers, whatever it might be, those trolling motors have been awesome. But bass anglers like their cable drive pedal. It is more responsive when you're bass fishing in a bass boat. You're getting in and out of the shoreline, and you get yourself up in tight coves and pockets, and you want to push that pedal, turn that boat right around. And that was really the big barrier in that particular market, was the cable drive. For manufacturers to be able to produce a trolling motor like they envisioned, like they wanted with these GPS anchor systems, they had to go electric. Well, the AllTracks is both. So the Minn Kota AllTracks actually has a cable in the pedal that runs up to the head of the trolling motor, where it wraps around a pressure switch. That switch then drives an electric motor that tells the shaft where to go. So the AllTracks is kind of a hybrid in that sense, and was really the first one to make strides in that particular area. The manufacturer, Minn Kota, says that that spot lock will hold you in about a 2 to 3 foot area, which is pretty good if you think about 2 to 3 feet. If the wind's blowing, current's knocking you around, that's a pretty tight, a pretty small area, which is why anglers love this spot lock system. The pedal also has an autopilot button, so if you have the boat pointed a certain way, you can go ahead and hit that autopilot, and it will just take you the direction that you are pointing and adjust and compensate. The AllTracks also has what they call a jog feature on it. In other words, it will move the boat in 5-foot increments. So if you want to move up just a little bit, over to the side a little bit, the AllTracks has that capability as well. I often think about it this way: if you're working a brush pile or a lay down tree that's in the water, you can then go ahead and hit that particular jog feature and it'll move you from one side to the other and then lock back up and hold you right there in position. The Minn Kota AllTracks has a transducer already built in that works with Humminbird graphs, but they just introduced, as a matter of fact, I saw one last week at the Chicago Boat Show up at McCormick Place. Not only do they now have the down imaging transducer, they actually have side imaging already built in to the trolling motor that works with the Humminbird graphs, and you can go ahead and hook up the iPilot links, use Ethernet, get them all connected, and just have functionality between all your graphs and the trolling motor. And even you can put an app on your phone and control it that way as well. The AllTracks is available in 24 volt and 36 volt models, so you can go anywhere from 80 pounds to 112 pounds of thrust, and variable shaft sizes or shaft lengths as well. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the MotorGuide Tour Pro. For years it was Minn Kota MotorGuide. They were the two big players in the industry, but when the AllTracks came out, MotorGuide lost a major portion of the market. Like I said, in the 2018 Elite season, over 90 of the 110 pros were all running AllTraxes. That did not go unnoticed with MotorGuide, so they came out with the Tour Pro at ICAST in 2019. Let's go ahead and go over some of the features it has. The Tour Pro is the only one of the four that actually has true cable steering with the GPS anchor system. So if you're a big fan of that true cable feel and steering system, the TourGuide Pro is the only one of the four that has it. Now the motor's head stays stationary as the shaft turns, so the problem of twisting cables is no longer an issue, and there is an LED directional arrow up on the head so you know where you're going. And MotorGuide, one thing, I've run both Minn Kotas and MotorGuides over the years, and I really like the MotorGuide all metal pedal. Well, they have gone back to that, so it is something that they've hung their hat on in the past, and it's been a really nice sturdy pedal. So they actually have an all metal pedal again, and the MotorGuide is the only one of the four with its built-in transducers that gives you, the angler, the choice of which graphs you're going to go ahead and mount on your boat. They have different cables as far as adapters to plug in, so the MotorGuide Tour Pro is the only one that gives you the option for that transducer, that universal transducer, to work with different electronic graphs out there on the market. The other thing that I've heard people talk about with the MotorGuide Tour Pro is the blade. The Katana blade is supposedly all that and then some. The MotorGuide Tour Pro also has a built-in LED indicator which gives you the power status of the motor, the GPS, how that is going, whether it's locked in solid, and the battery level as well. Let's go ahead and jump into the Garmin Force. So naturally the Garmin Force is going to work really well with Garmin electronics, all their Panoptics, that type of stuff, live scope, all of that is incorporated within the Garmin Force trolling motor. And this one is actually the only one of the four that has a completely wireless pedal. That pedal runs on AA batteries, so you can move that pedal around where you would like. It is completely wireless, so it'll be interesting to see how anglers take to that type of a pedal setup as this trolling motor is out on the market for a while. So the pedal communicates wirelessly with the steering mechanism up in the head of the motor itself, and Garmin claims that it has cable steer responsiveness, so the bass anglers should really like it. The Garmin trolling motor pedal, the wireless pedal, also has an adjustable resistance feature to it. As bass anglers, we are so used to pedals that have some resistance to it, And when pros started to test this model, they didn't like the fact that it was almost too loose, too easy to turn, so you can adjust the resistance in the pedal to match the type of resistance on your trolling motor pedal that you prefer. So I think that's a pretty neat feature that this wireless pedal has. Now, the Garmin Force is a brushless motor. So what does that mean in layman's terms? It means it is exceptionally quiet. Another thing I find interesting with the Force is that it can run on 24 or 36 volt systems, and you may be thinking, yeah, they all do. Well, this one is set up where if you're out on the water and you got a 36 volt system and one of those batteries for some reason fails, that Force is still going to operate, it's still going to work. You can go ahead and put it in the 24 volt mode and you're not going to ruin your fishing day. So I think that's a pretty cool feature. Let's go ahead and jump into the fourth motor, or the last one of the group that we're going to talk about. It's also another brushless motor, which means it's ultra quiet, and it is the Lowrance Ghost. And because it is ultra quiet, that led the designers to come up with the name Ghost. So it lets you know that fish are not going to hear this thing coming. It is super, super quiet. I think it's a pretty creative name and definitely fits with the type of service that you would expect from this particular motor. The Lowrance, at this point in time, the factory says that the GPS anchor system will hold you in a 6 to 8 foot range, and that was at the point of iCast last summer. And I know that they've been working on tightening up that range from there, but that is what they had said at the point when that motor was introduced. Now, the Lowrance does not have any type of cable in it. There are sensors in the pedal that tell the steering motor the location and then how fast it is going to be moving. The motor is fast enough to stay in sync with the pedal, so Lowrance says that anglers that are used to a cable drive system, it's going to be just as responsive as that, which is clearly important in the bass market. Just like the Garmin, the Lowrance can run on 24 or 36 volt systems. Their Smart Steer lets you steer, adjust the speed, set up navigation, anchor points, all that type of stuff, which is pretty similar across all the motors. And naturally, the Lowrance is going to work with their own branded graphs as well, so a natural tie-in. Okay, those are the four big motors that are going to challenge the Minn Kota AllTracks as far as the dominance in the market. Time will tell if they're able to do that. All four of these motors have good, reliable GPS anchoring systems, and naturally all of them have got all the different tracking modes, and you can do all kinds of things with apps and electronics, steering, holding your position, that type of stuff. But the big things that bass anglers wanted with that electronic drive, that GPS anchor system, they wanted a responsive foot pedal just like in the cable drive system. So the Minn Kota AllTracks has kind of a hybrid where a cable runs up to pressure sensors. The MotorGuide Tour Pro is the only one that has a true cable system, and then the others are an electronic system. We'll see what anglers think as they are out there on the water. So we are at the beginning of the year, and maybe you're thinking about buying a new boat, maybe you're thinking about upgrading your current trolling motor. Well, I hope that this particular video gives you some clarity as far as the differences between them. If you have any experience with any of these motors, go ahead and drop them down below in the comments. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Hey, don't forget to go out and encourage somebody today. You never know what type of difference you're going to make in their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.